Welcome you all to our new session, and this session is regarding SARFAESI Act 2002. As I have already told that SARFAESI is one of the biggest tool in hands of banker when it comes to the NPA recovery. NPA is the biggest tool in current banking scenario, and all the bankers are struggling with it. Banks, particularly in India, public sector banks have a huge burden of NPA, and thus they were taken into prompt corrective action PCA by Reserve Bank of India. Hence, the recruitment in various banks were slowing down in recent past. So many of banks were now recovering from PCA. So thanks to this SARFAESI Act 2002. Why the SARFAESI Act 2002 is important? Because before SARFAESI Act, there were some other rules which were not helping bankers to recover their dues in time, like OTS Act, One-Time Settlement Act, and this corporate debt restructuring plan was not working well. And this RDBFI Act in 1993, recovery of debts due to banks and financial institutions, which has later created a DRT, Debt Recovery Tribunal, and DRAT, a separate channel, a separate jurisdiction for addressing this NPA problems inside banks. But that was not so helpful, because before SARFAESI Act, recovering a debt from a normal in terms of a secured loan, bankers needs to file civil suits, and as you all know that civil suit is a time consuming process. So the recovery was slow, and recovery was not happening as per the requirements for the banks. So now once the SARFAESI Act is in place, the recovery is fast, and many NPAs were recovered, bad loans are restructured. So let's look into our slides why this SARFAESI Act is important. Also, we will be discussing all that amendments which has later constituted by Government of India to further strengthen the SARFAESI Act. So let's begin the SARFAESI Act 2002. Let me introduce what is SARFAESI Act. It is implemented in the year 2002. We have to know this much, that this act is implemented in the year 2002. We need not remember the dates. In order to lay down a process to help Indian lenders recover their dues quickly without court intervention. If you will be asked a question that why this SARFAESI Act, the SARFAESI Act is essentially to recover secured loan dues without the court intervention. Okay, and this SARFAESI Act empowers banks and other financial institutions to directly auction the residential or commercial properties that have been pledged with them for the recovery of bad loans. Before this act took effect, financial institutions had to file civil suits to recover their dues, which is a lengthy and time-consuming process. Okay, as you know, considering the bad records of turnaround time in courts, recovering a loan through a civil suit is a bad idea. So the SARFAESI Act has empowered bankers to act like judge, to immediately act like courts, and they, without the court intervention, they can take the help of district magistrate. They can recover the dues, but they can take action by their own without any court intervention. Okay, so let's look into the process. Look into this SARFAESI Act. What is that SARFAESI Act in full? Can anybody tell? Here it is: securitization and reconstruction of financial assets and enforcement of security interest. Okay. No, personal loan will not be covered under this. I will be telling you in exact detail. Don't worry about that. So this act has three process. Okay, this act has three parts. First part is securitization. Second part is reconstruction of that financial assets, and third is enforcement of security interest. So let's look what is securitization, what is reconstruction of financial assets, and what is enforcement of security interest. Securitization is acquiring financial assets by issuing debentures, debts, security receipts to recover dues. So this is what we discussed earlier in our class regarding special purpose vehicle. Okay, the job that a special purpose vehicle does is securitization. What is the job role of special purpose vehicle? They pull a asset from a particular lender, they pack it, they convert it into an marketable security. That means that security can be traded in share markets, in capital markets, in secondary market, and they sell it to the public. Okay, that is called securitization. We will be making you understand in next slide what is securitization. Don't worry about that. So that means if a loan is not performing well, or you want liquid money against that particular asset, you can pull up that security, you can pull up that asset, you convert it into a security receipt and you sell it, and whatever future receivables will be there from that loan, the person who is buying that security receipt will be getting it. Okay, I think I have already clearly make you understood what is that special purpose vehicle. So the act SARFAESI first deals with securitization. Secondly, it deals with the reconstruction of financial assets. So if a financial asset is not performing well, then banks or the financial institutions have the right to reconstruct it. How to reconstruct? They can reconstruct it by takeovering the management, they can sell the debts, they can restructure that debt, they can make a settlement or take possession of that company to recover the dues. Okay, this is the reconstruction of financial assets. And enforcement of security interest, that means if by first two process, if the debt is not recovered, the third process is outrightly selling that pledged security. Okay, in case there is a home loan and somebody has mortgaged his property in the name of bank and he is not repaying, so when bank exercises the power of enforcement of security interest, what that bank does, the bank acquires that property and sells it to recover the dues. So that selling of that property is called enforcement of security interest. How the bank sells it? Bank sells it through auction, okay, or private placement. But most probably they do an auction of that property. Okay, so if it is a company, he has a loan, that company has some loans, the first thing organization, a secure lender can do is to securitize their assets. If that company is having 100 crores of debt to you and you want to securitize it, so you go and sell that loan to a SPV, special purpose vehicle. And that special purpose vehicle, what is the job role of special purpose vehicle? He makes a security receipt of that loan and sells it to the public. And when public buys that bond, that debt bond or that restructured debenture, the future receivables will go to the public who has bought the receipt. This is securitization. And this reconstruction of financial assets means takeover of management. You take over, as a bank, you take over the management of that company. Now you manage that company so well that your dues will be recovered in time. Am I okay? You can comment it. If till now I am making you understood, then you can comment yes or no, or otherwise I will making you again understand this, because this is the essence of this act. These three pillars are essence of this act: securitization, reconstruction of financial assets, and enforcement of security interest. So that means through this SARFAESI Act, banks or the secured lender has three options with him. He can exercise the power of securitization, reconstruction, or sale proceeding of that asset, of that mortgaged property or that hypothecated good. Okay, so these are the three options SARFAESI Act essentially talks about. Okay, let's see the process flow. In case there is a mortgaged property, what is the process flow? What happens? Let me tell you, let me elaborate you. First step, the loan becomes NPA. The secured loan becomes NPA. We are not talking about unsecured loans. I will be telling you which loans are under the SARFAESI Act, comes under the SARFAESI Act in the next slide. Don't worry about that. But remember, First thing is that in very first step, the secured loan becomes NPA. Okay. The second step is once the NPA is detected and the customer is not paying his dues in time after repeated reminders, bank can exercise SARFAESI Act. Here the second step is the exercise of SARFAESI Act. After repeated reminders, the dues are not recovered, and that is under NPA, that secured loan under NPA. Take an example of a home loan. Somebody has taken a home loan. He is again and again defaulting, and after repeated reminders he is not paying you that loan. So what can you do? You go to the second option. You can send him a demand notice. This is the most crucial step. After this option, when you exercise this option, customer will be left without no hope. Either he has to pay or he has to be ready, prepared that his mortgaged property will be sold. How somebody takes a home loan? He takes a home loan through mortgaged property. Where he is constructing his house, that property is mortgaged to bank. So once he defaults in that loan, you use the second option, that is sending him a demand notice. The demand notice is sent through SARFAESI Act section 13 subsection 2. It is popularly known as 13/2. Okay, if an interviewer asks what is 13/2 in bank, so this is SARFAESI Act demand notice 13/2. It is popularly known as 13/2. हिंदी में इसको बोलते हैं 13/2. ठीक है, 13/2 आपने यूज किया है. अगर वो लोन नहीं भर रहा है तो आप you use 13/2. If somebody is not repaying, then your management will tell you, why don't you use 13/2? ठीक है, that means you have to send a demand notice as per the SARFAESI Act. There is a particular format of sending this SARFAESI Act. Is this demand notice, and this demand notice should be signed by a person who is in the grade of chief manager and above. Okay, who is designated to sign by the bank, and he must be a scale 4 manager, chief manager. He should be a chief 4 manager. Okay. So what that 13/2 notice says, that either you pay the dues within 60 days from the date of notice, or else your property will be auctioned. Okay. So next comes the third step. If the customer finds it objectionable, he finds that his loan must not be classified as NPA, or he finds that the bank is doing some illegal activities by sending him a notice, he is entitled to make a written complaint to the borrower. Okay, make a written complaint to the lender. The borrower has the right to make a written complaint that I have paid my dues, or this is why my loan should not be classified as NPA, etc. He have to communicate his objection within the 60 days. And once his objection is received, the secured lender has to reply him within a week. And the secured lender has a right not to entertain his objection. Okay. So once he rejects his objection, objection, then the normal 60 days is applicable. Once he accepts it, then they have to amend, they have to withdraw their demand notice. If it is rejected, that means that 60 day notice period is intact, no change in it. Okay. So on 60th day, they sent a possession notice under section 13 subsection 4. Now his objection is declined, and after 60 days, possession notice of that property is slapped on the customers. Okay, that means this property is now ready for auction, and the customer cannot do anything right now. Now, in the fifth step, the borrower has a right to file a case in DRT within 45 days of receiving notice. Okay, receiving this possession notice under section 13 subsection 4, he has a right to complain to DRT. And if the DRT case goes against the customer, again customer has a right to appeal against that DRT order in Debt Recovery Appellate Tribunal, DRAT, within 30 days of the judgment of DRT. Are you clear about the process? I will be elaborating all of them in our next slides, upcoming slides. But this is how I put it in a infographic way. First step, second step, third step, fourth step, and fifth step. This is all about this SARFAESI Act, and this is this enforcement of security interest. Here interest means right, security interest. Whatever property is mortgaged to the bank takes over that right of that property. Okay, so this is how. Yes, go ahead please with your doubts. Yes, bank will cancel that demand notice. That demand notice will not be counted anymore. Okay, and if that customer complains that while slapping that notice, that demand notice to me, you have done some illegal process, your managers, your employees have followed some illegal practices, then bank will pay compensation to the customer. If your demand notice found to be illegal, customer has all the right to make a case against you, make a civil case against you. Okay, so you have to be very much alert while slapping this demand notice to the customer. Okay. So there are 4 ways of recovering this the debts, the dues. Okay. First, you take a possession of secured assets. Second, take over of the management. Third, you appoint any person to take over the management. Okay. Fourth, you notice to others those who have dues to the borrower in terms of the secured asset recovered by the bank. That means if while you are going to recover that asset, you found that secured asset is given on lease to somebody else, and that person who has taken lease of that asset has to pay some dues to the owner of that asset. That means you as a legal owner of that asset right now, you can recover the dues from third party, from that third party as well. Okay, so there are 4 ways to recover the dues. Direct, you take possession, you auction them, you sell whatever amount you recovered from the auction or sale proceed of that asset, you will recover your dues, and whatever amount excess you are getting from that auction, you will be paying back that excess amount to the customer. Okay, or you take over of the management, directly bank taking over the management of that company which is making defaults in your loan, and you manage so well that you recover your dues in a due course of time. Okay, or you appoint somebody else to manage the company. Or the fourth one is you notice to that person who has taken that property on lease, or somebody is having some dues on that property to be paid to that borrower. Okay, so there is also another way that if it is a company, if it is a management and it is not able to pay his dues, then the company can change that debt to equity. Okay, shares. That means you are having 1 lakh due, 10 lakhs due from a particular company, and that company is not able to pay you that 10 lakhs. Through district management, you can take shares of that company. Okay, you take ownership of that company. This is also another way of recovering the assets. Okay, let's go ahead. SARFAESI Act is applicable to all banks, including cooperative banks. In original act, it was not applicable to cooperatives, but in later amendments, it was applicable to cooperative banks as well. If a borrower defaults on a loan secured by a collateral, then the banks can take possession of the pledged asset, the borrower take over of the management of such assets, or appoint any other person to manage them, or ask debtors of that borrower to pay their dues to you directly with respect to that asset by giving a notice period of 60 days. Whatever I was telling you, that was defined here in this point. So the major drawback of this act is that it is not applicable to unsecured loans. It cannot be applicable to loans which is not secured by any collateral asset. So it is not applicable to credit cards, not applicable to consumer durables, it's not applicable to personal loans. Okay. So what are the options available with bankers while there was no SARFAESI? Prior to SARFAESI, the Recovery of Debts Due to Banks and Financial Institutions Act 1993, which was enacted by the recommendations of Narasimham Committee, was one of the options available with the bankers to recover the dues. That RDDBFI Act was created, DRT, Debt Recovery Tribunals, and Debt Recovery Appellate Tribunals. Okay. Also, in 1997, RBI notified one-time settlement scheme or corporate debt restructuring scheme in 2001. This was also a tool in hands of bankers prior to SARFAESI. But when it was felt that all these acts are not necessary enough to recover the dues in a swift manner, in a speedy way, then a committee under Mr. Andhyarjuna, what is that name? Andhyarjuna was appointed to address the loophole of previous acts, which later recommends this SARFAESI Act. Okay. So the purview of the act, where it is applicable, let me tell you, the act is applicable to loans outstanding above rupees 1 lakh. If there is a loan having outstanding less than 1 lakh, then this act will not be applicable to that loan. Okay. Second, this NPA accounts amounting less than 20% of original principal amount, then this act will not be applicable. If customer has already paid 80% of the principal, then he is out of the purview of SARFAESI Act. First, it should be more than 1 lakh. Second, the outstanding should be more than 1 lakh and outstanding should be more than 20% of principal. Okay, these are the two things. Applicable to secured loans where security interest is created. Okay, only where security interest is created. That means in SARSAI portal, the security interest is registered. Through this act, SARSAI is created, a central registry for creating security interest. So whatever you do in terms of mortgaged or collateral property, you have to record it in SARSAI portal. The SARSAI is notified through this act. So if you have not registered this collateral, this mortgage or this hypothecated asset in SARSAI, then you will not be able to implement this SARFAESI Act, to enforce this SARFAESI Act on that particular property. And KCC loans are not under this scheme because you cannot auction agricultural land. Okay. And it is also not applicable to properties that is not liable for attachment under attachment or sale under the section 60 of Code of Civil Procedures 1908. These are the four main basic criteria where the SARFAESI Act will not be applicable. First, loan amount less than 1 lakh, principal outstanding less than 20%, security interest not registered in SARSAI portal, in agricultural land, or somewhere where sale or attachment is not possible by this Code of Civil Procedure 1908. Okay. So the benefits of SARFAESI and its applicability. It is applicable to scheduled commercial banks, international financial corporations, ASEAN Development Bank, or to identified HFC, housing finance companies. And NBFCs with an asset size of rupees 500 crore and above are also under this secured lender category in SARFAESI Act. The benefits of the SARFAESI Act has been extended to the listed bond markets in India. They are included as secured creditors under this SARFAESI Act. Okay. Then we will discuss first thing of this act is securitization. As per this act, securitization means acquisition of financial assets by any securitization company or reconstruction company from any originator whether by raising of funds by such securitization company or reconstruction company from qualified institutional buyers by issue of security receipts representing undivided interest in such financial assets or otherwise. You don't need to remember such a long definition of securitization. Just remember, securitization is something you pull up a bunch of asset from a particular seller, and through special purpose vehicle you create a debt receipt of that particular asset and you sell it to general public. Whatever future receivables will be there from that asset, from that loan, that future receivables will be given to the buyer of that security receipt. Okay, so I have taken a home loan. Let me give you a very simple example to you. I have taken a home loan from State Bank of India, 1 crore rupees of home loan from State Bank of India, and every month I am paying 1 lakh rupees to the bank. Bank feels the necessity of securitization of my loan. Bank is apprehensive about my repayment capabilities or something like that. Bank senses something bad about me, and bank tries to buy, to sell or securitize my loan. So he sells it to some of you. That 1 crore loan is sold to you in rupees 70 lakhs. You pay 70 lakhs to State Bank of India and you buy my loan. You buy my loan from State Bank of India. I will be continuously paying 1 lakh rupees to State Bank of India every month, and that money which State Bank receives from me will be paid to you directly. So that means now State Bank of India is not my lender. You are my lender. You have bought that security asset from State Bank of India, and whatever future amount I will pay to State Bank of India, that will directly go to you. Even in case I will not be able to pay rupees 1 lakh, then you have to bear the loss, not State Bank of India. Am I clearly understood to all of you? Through this example, have you got what is securitization? Selling of a particular financial asset. Okay, thank you. So the conversion of asset, especially a loan, into marketable securities, typically for the purpose of raising cash by selling them into other investors. So why State Bank of India sold my 1 crore loan to you? Either they sense some fishy activities by me, or they sense that I have less capabilities, less chance of repaying the entire loan, or State Bank of India needed liquidity in that particular point of time. Okay, they will be getting 1 crore from me in next 15 years, but they are getting 70 lakhs now. So which is more valuable? Getting 1 crore in 15 years is more valuable, or getting 75 lakhs upfront is more valuable? Considering the concept of time value of money, the present cash is more valuable than future receivables. So bank is now getting 75 lakhs in hand, and bank now can invest that 75 lakhs to other people and can earn money as well. So to address the liquidity concern, to address the NPA worries, bank go ahead with securitization, or special purpose vehicles go ahead with securitization. It is more often done through a SPV, which I have already mentioned you. Okay, and here comes the second part, reconstruction of financial asset. Normally reconstruction of financial asset will be done through asset reconstruction company. I think I have already told you what is asset reconstruction company. ARC buys NPAs from other financial institutions and recovers the due from the original borrowers. Okay, they should have a minimum net fund of 100 crores. ARC to maintain a minimum capital adequacy ratio of 15%. Okay, NBFCs should also require to maintain a capital adequacy ratio of 15%, and housing finance companies to maintain a minimum capital adequacy ratio of 12%. Okay, acquisition of interest in financial assets. So ARC can acquire financial assets of any bank by issuing debt and debentures, by entering into an agreement with the financial institution, or NPA shall be acquired at a very reasonable price, which is in terms of a fair price. That doesn't mean if they are buying a NPA of 100 crores, they will pay only 10 crores. That is not the case. They have to buy it in a reasonable price. Banks and financial institutions may receive bonds or debentures in exchange of their NPAs transferred to ARC. A part of the value can be paid in form of security receipts, and the latest regulation says when a ARC buys a NPA portfolio from a bank, he has to pay 15% of that NPA value in cash. The first ARC in India is called ARCIL, ARC India Limited. Okay. So now let's talk about the important sections. The first important section is 13/2. Tera do. Demand notice to borrower to repay the dues within 60 days. 13/4, by which you take possession of that asset if the dues are not cleared within first 60 days. Okay. I thought I have already told you all that in that infographic illustration. Next is section 17. Section 17 is the borrower's right to appeal against that creditor. If he feels that process is not valid, then borrower can go and apply directly in debt recovery tribunal. Section 18 says that he can again appeal against DRT in DRAT tribunal. Section 19 says that the right of borrower to receive compensation and costs in certain cases. If it is found that the activities of classifying NPA found to be illegal, or if there is some misbehavior or somewhere the procedures are not followed by the banks, then the bank is liable to pay a compensation to the borrower. Why so? I have always told you banking is a highly regulated business, and as a banker you should be always remain extremely professional. In case customer misbehaves you, no worries. There are some acts to will help you, but if it happens inside the bank. But in most cases you have to go outside to deal with corrupt people, to deal with unwanted elements. Okay. So when you go for an NPA recovery, you have to go outside the branch premises. So whatever misbehavior that customer does with you outside the bank's premises is not a worry for law enforcement authorities. But whatever you do inside the bank or outside a bank to the customers is a matter of concern, because it is always expected that as a banker you should always remain highly professional. Okay. So the demand notice under section 13/2, I have already discussed about it. If a borrower who is under liability to a secured creditor makes any default or repayment of secured debt and his account in respect of such debt is classified as a NPA, then secured creditor may require the borrower to send a notice to repay that loan within 60 days. And if he fails to do so, then under section 13 by subsection 4, he can take possession of that asset. Okay. And section 13 subsection 13 shows that the notice under section 13/2 in effect operates as an attachment or injunction restraining the borrower from disposing the secured asset. So once this demand notice is received, that is called a injunction notice or a attachment notice. That means after receiving that notice, the borrower cannot sell or lease that property to anybody else. Okay. What do you say? 144 is applicable once this section 13/2 is imposed on that particular land. Okay. Yeah, borrower's right. Borrower may make a representation in response to the notice issued under section 13/2 and challenge the classification of his account as NPA and also the quantum of amount specified in the notice. So the two things that initially the borrower can challenge is the classification of his asset as NPA and the amount which is mentioned under this demand notice. He can challenge both the things. Okay. If the banks or FIs come to the conclusion that the representation or objection of the borrower is not acceptable, then the reasons for non-acceptance are required to be communicated within a week. with a written communication. Why bank is not accepting his objection should be communicated within a week of receiving the objection. Okay. The reason so communicated shall not confer any right upon the borrower to file a application in DRT. Whatever objection, whatever reason bank has mentioned in terms of the rejection of that objection cannot be questionable under DRT. Okay. So the borrower can challenge the notice under section 13/2 of that act in the civil court as well as the high courts by way of writ petition. What is a writ petition? It is normally comes into picture about the writ petition. You have, I think, in newspapers there is a elaborate use of writ petition, and the writ petitions are in India used thoroughly in terms of political weapon or in terms of by social activists. So you must know that writ petition is when you feel that some of your fundamental rights which is guaranteed to you by constitution is violated. You file a writ petition. You file the writ petition under section 226 of our constitution or section 32 of our constitution. The section 226 deals with the writ petition that is filed in high courts, and the section 32 deals with the writ petition filed in Supreme Court. Okay, so customer has a right to appeal to a civil court, to a high court through writ petition under section 226 of our Indian constitution. Okay, so but in the case of D. Ravichandran versus Indian Overseas Bank, you have to little bit remember all these cases, that it was held that the notice under section 13/2 of act is really a show cause notice, and ordinarily this court does not interfere with show cause notice. Okay, so it can be challenged, but referring to the case of D. Ravichandran and versus Indian Overseas Bank, that section 13(2) is labeled as a show cause notice, and show cause notice cannot be questioned. Even if the customer files a complaint to Supreme Court or to any other court for that matter, your lawyer can refer to this case, and by referring this case, that case will be nullified. Okay, so you must remember, if you will be asked then why a customer cannot appeal against your 13(2) or your demand notice in high courts, you can state that the high court says in the case of Ravichandran and Indian versus Indian Overseas Bank that this is a show cause notice, and show cause notice cannot be questioned by banks. Okay, in case of any illegal act done by the creditor during this process, then the borrower is entitled to get compensation. I have already mentioned you this earlier. Okay, on receipt of possession notice under section 13/4, the borrower can prefer to appeal before DRT under section 17 of SARFAESI Act. Okay, to make a stay proceeding of this acquisition or auction process. The limitation period is of 45 days of the date of the receipt of that notice under section 13/4. So 13/2 says you send a demand notice. After 60 days, completion of 60 days, you send a possession notice, section 13/4, and under section 17, customer can complain against this possession notice to DRT, and this limitation period is 45 days. And if he is aggrieved by the order of DRT, he can again file a case in Debt Recovery Appellate Tribunal within 30 days of period of that order given by DRT. Okay, this is one of the important case in terms of SARFAESI. The Supreme Court has clearly, yes, I'm telling you what is the limitation period. The Supreme Court has clearly held in the case of Mardia Chemical Limited that the proceeding under section 17 is in the nature of original proceeding, and that even the amount which is claimed to be due to bank as stated under the notice of 13/2 can be challenged by the borrower. In Mardia Chemical case, it says that the amount can be challenged by the borrower in court. You are asking about the limitation period. The limitation period is 45 days of receiving the possession notice from the bank to file in DRAT, and again to file in DRT. In debt recovery tribunal, you can file as a borrower, you can file your complaint within 45 days of receiving possession notice from bank. And after you get your order from DRT and you are not satisfied with that order, you have another 30 days to file the case in DRAT, appellate tribunal. Okay. And in sections in Mardia Chemicals case, Supreme Court says that the borrower has the right to make a case against that amount stated in section 13/2. Okay. What is the power of DRT? The power of DRT is defined in the case of Lakshmi Mills Private Limited versus Indian Bank in the Court of Madras. Why I am saying all this? Because these are the case studies of SARFAESI Act, and these are the very important judgments in terms of SARFAESI Act. So you may be asked, there are 2-3 judgments only which are important in SARFAESI Act, but if you don't remember whom versus whom the case was filed, you can remember, but you can remember the essence of that case, what that case has meant to bankers. Okay, so Madras High Court in that case says that the right of the bank is not automatically suspended upon filing an application by the borrower under section 17. Even if the customer files a complaint to DRT under section 17, the bank will go ahead with its normal procedure. That mere complaint will not suspend the banker's right to auction that property. Okay, even if the case is going on in DRT, bank will simultaneously go ahead with auctioning that property. Okay, in case there will be a judgment in favor of the borrower, that will be implemented in a future period of time. But at that point of time, this process of SARFAESI Act will not be delayed. Okay, the tribunal has the power to impose the condition relating to deposit for grant of stay of auction. The only thing that DRT can do, they can go ahead with a stay order of that auction. Okay, the tribunal has no power to pass any interim mandatory order relating to the restoration of possession before finalization of the proceeding under section 17 of the Act. As long as the case is going on, the borrower cannot shout of an interim relief from the court because the court has no power. Okay. The tribunal also has no power to pass any interim or mandatory order relating to restoration of possession before finalization of the proceedings. I have already mentioned this 2 times. Okay, so that means even if the case is under consideration in DRT, banks will go ahead with SARFAESI, with the rules of SARFAESI. So this through SARFAESI, the recovery process is expedited. Okay, in an expeditious way, the process of SARFAESI will be completed. That's why even if customer files a complaint to DRT, DRT cannot stop the process. What the DRT can do maximum, they can stay for some period of time of that auction of that property. Okay. So as per the latest amendment, the securities should be mandatorily registered in SARSAI portal. What is SARSAI portal? Central Registry for Securitization and Asset Reconstruction and Security Interest of India. Central Registry for Securitization, Asset Reconstruction and Security Interest of India. Secured creditors who have not duly registered the security interest with SARSAI shall not be entitled to exercise the right of enforcement of securities. So initially there was a mandatory period of 30 days when you take a loan, when you give a loan to a customer and that property was mortgaged to you. You have to mandatorily register that property in SARSAI within 30 days, but now they have done away with that 30 days period, but you have to mandatorily register. In case you don't register, the customer can go to some other lender and borrow money on behalf of that property. So in such a dispute, if any lender, if both of you, if one of you have submitted, have registered this in Sarsai portal first, you will be entitled to go ahead with SARFAESI. Okay, the bank who has failed to do so has no right to auction that property. Okay, so it says that it is mandatory to register in Sarsai portal. Okay, so during this process, banker can take the help of district magistrate. These are all added in later amendments. Bank can approach the district magistrate to deal with this possession of assets or management of that. If it's a company, then bank can approach the district magistrate to help the bank with the process of reconstruction of asset, management of asset, or sale proceedings or auction of that asset. So once bank has approached the district magistrate, the district magistrate has a timeline of 30 days to help the bank with the original proceedings. So mandatorily they have to help the bank in terms of recovering the bad assets. Okay, so this is all in this session. In case you have any doubt in SARFAESI, you can ask me now. I think I have cleared almost everything that is related to SARFAESI, and whatever they may ask you in interviews, or if there is a written test and there are MCQs, nothing will be from outside the purview of this study material. So once the session ends, I will be sharing the PDF. Go through it. In case any of you have any other suggestion or any other information regarding SARFAESI, you can tell it to me right now. Or if you have any queries, then please go ahead and ask me. Let's discuss. Yeah. Yeah. See, when customer defaults in your loan, you don't outrightly go and slap him a notice. This is the last thing you do. You convince the customer to repay the loan. Once you send him a notice and he has repaid back his loans, and again he has defaulted in next 90 days, it is under your purview that you can issue him another notice, but you should not issue another notice in next 90 days. You should wait for some, you should make some other communication to him. If it is a normal SMA 1, SMA 2, SMA 0, SMA 1, SMA 2, you finally send some communications to him. If you find that it is not recoverable by any other mean, then you go slap a second demand notice. Okay, even if your first demand notice should be your last resort, you should not use it immediately. You should communicate to him. You should pay some visit to the customer, and finally, if you found that there is no way left to recover the loan, you can approach him for a one-time settlement. You approach him for everything. But if he fails to do so, then only you go with a demand notice. It is in extreme condition. Okay, because it is also a cumbersome process for you to take a possession of that asset. You will be better if you will be paid with some of that amount, or if the customer is going with a one-time settlement or like that, then it is a win-win situation for you, for both the customer and for you. Okay, this is the extreme condition. Slapping a demand notice is extreme condition. That means you have exhausted all your available options. Okay. Yeah. Any other question? Okay, I don't think you are having any other query. You go through the PDF. If you are having any other query, you put it in group. We will be discussing it. Okay. Please go ahead with this PDF. once the class is over. Once the class is over, you go through the PDF. You will get to know all the details, and you need not study it again. It will be helpful if you immediately go through the PDF file. Okay. Okay. Good night to all.